Friends, the only way is all the way, and we can do that by pouring into ourselves first. Build in the stuff that you love every day so that you can show up to life energized. When you're energized enough, you can give even more love and your gifts to the world, and you create a positive upward spiral where you love life and make positive impact. Go to bed feeling good about yourself, and it's a beautiful life.
Fire, earth, wind, water. This is the Elemental Educator, and now your host, Tyler Como.
Alchemists, welcome to another episode of the Elemental Educator Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler, and thank you so much for joining our community for another incredible connection. If you're here for the first time, welcome to a place where we redefine leadership and challenge the status quo. Take a minute before continuing the episode to subscribe to our YouTube at Elemental_Educator, where we upload all of our videos and additional leadership content meant for anyone looking to grow. For those returning alchemists, take some time to expand our community and share this platform with one other person today. I'm thankful for your dedication and passion to being better together. Now get ready to let the alchemy of education ignite your passion for learning. Phil is a tattoo-covered Netflix baking show. He uses the word flopping. I won't use the word flopping. High-energy chemistry/physics teaching keynote speaker and a coach that is on a mission to create and spread happiness through education, motivation, and entertainment. He empowers the givers in the world to completely flourish in their personal lives first, in order to ignite passion and purpose in their professional lives as well. Phil is a nationally known dynamic speaker of 10 plus years and a public school educator since 2005 with a bachelor's in chemistry, a master's in teaching leadership, and a certification in positive education. When not speaking, teaching, or supporting the givers in the world, Phil enjoys everyday adventures with his wife and 2 children and pursuing his personal passions of fitness, baking, networking, and personal development. If you've ever met Phil, be prepared for a great deal of positive energy, love, and passion. Welcome to the Elemental Educator Podcast, Phil. It is my pleasure to have you here with us today.
Tyler, thank you so much. The virtual waters are warm. I'm ready to dive in. And the fact that we go over the 4 elements, I was geeking out when I learned that about you. So feel like we're already aligned, brother. I'm excited for the conversation ahead.
And when we connected, you instantly were like, dude, I have this. It's tattooed on me. And you sent me a picture of the elements tattooed on you. And I said, no way, I've got them back here too. So I've got them on my arm as well. And what a crazy world. Although I think mine are from like the Avatar film. I just thought they looked cool, man. And I was like, this is sweet. Long story short behind it. I'm so off topic right out of the gates here, Phil. I went to Toronto, and I know if I'm Canadian, it's Toronto. And I don't know how Americans say it. But anyway, I went to Toronto, and they call it the center of the universe. And I'm a science guy too, chemistry guy. And Aristotle was wrong for so many years, but he thought everything came from these elements. And I thought, I'm in the center of the universe. I'm going to get a tattoo of the elements because that's what made everything. So I walked in and I said, hey, can you do this? And the guy was just like, yeah, I'll freehand it. And so I showed him a picture. We went to town and it was great. It was awesome. Great time. I love that. Now, I want to start with a bigger question here, which is, Phil, how did you get to where you are now?
Great question. Thanks to a lot of amazing humans who helped guide me along the way. But grew up southwest suburbs of Chicago in Illinois in the United States. Grew up in a really great fam, supportive parents. Loved cooking and baking and creating. So always thought I was going to go to culinary school. Fast forward, did about 5-6 different jobs cooking in high school. Realized that it was a passion and not a career. And I was lucky enough to have an incredible chemistry teacher that I felt really comfortable with, that helped me realize that school, teaching, education, and science was my future. And it was like a light bulb. Light switch went off, went to college, became a chem and physics teacher at 22 years old. And now I'm in year 20 now, brother.
What a special job too. You know, I teach chemistry as well, and I touch on the early physics, not quite the far and advanced physics that you probably get into. It's so fun to show kids the experimentation behind things and the ways that things work on an atomic level. I just think there's something really incredible about it. And it's the root of the show. It's the root of my platform is we all come from a basis of things. And I love talking chemistry because it's rooted. We call it elements, right? And it's rooted in what I translate to humans as being our values, and it roots into what we stand for and what builds us, which actually brings us to our first segment of Grounded Moments. Just one sec here. There we go.
1.
Rooted in wisdom, driven by purpose. Welcome to Grounded Moments. And to build some momentum here, Phil, we're going to play a game. And the game is called Principles or Preferences. And so I'm going to give you a statement, and you have to tell me if it's a core principle to you, something you live by, no exceptions, or if it's just a personal preference. So something you like but you don't expect from others. So the catch to this, and I just had an episode this morning, there's no time for explanations. It's just instinct. So we don't get to unpack why you chose what you chose, which could lead to, I promise I won't clip out the bad ones and just post those and say, look what Phil said. We'll have the whole context here. Okay, so
I'm ready.
We're going to go 10 rapid fire. It's either a core principle or personal preference. Are you ready?
Okay.
All right. Leaders should never raise their voice at their team.
Preference.
You should never take a business call when eating at a restaurant.
Principle.
People should never wear headphones in a group meeting.
Preference.
A handwritten thank you note is the best way to show appreciation.
Preference.
If you commit to something, you should never back out, even if a better offer comes along.
Principle.
Your personal social media should always be professional if you're in a leadership role.
Principle.
You should always accept a LinkedIn connection request.
Preference.
It's okay to turn down a promotion if it doesn't align with your personal values.
Oh my gosh, principle.
You should always tell people when they have something in their teeth.
Oh gosh, I wish I'd say principle, but it's preference.
And you should never send a meeting invite without an agenda.
Preference.
There we go. And so the point of that game was to establish what our non-negotiables are, but it's also the start of what we talk about with unpacking values, right? And we got to what do we value? What do we not value? What's on the fence for us? And to segue into something a bit more personable, I asked you to share a quote with me before you joined the show. And the quote you shared was "The only way is all the way" from Slipknot. Great choice. I want to get to how did you find this quote and why did you pick it?
So this quote it's one of my favorite lines from a Slipknot song, The Opium of the People. And it's just so aggressive, but I know I totally take it out of context too. But I am a full believer in when you commit to something, you need to see it through properly. And I try to do that in my life with everything from being a husband to a father, to an educator, to an entrepreneur. Promises to myself. I really try to stand by that if you commit to something, you should see it through, especially if people are counting on you. So it kind of came to be more of a mantra in our house when I'm raising my children. So now I have a 10-year-old and almost 13-year-old. And sometimes when we're like, should we do this? Or I always say, well, the only way is all the way. If we're going to do it, we're going to do it well and to the best of our ability. And then after that, if we don't like it anymore or whatever, we don't have to commit anymore to it. But whatever we set out to do, we're going to do. And I just feel like that's a really good mantra to live by. And I'm also a huge, aggressive heavy metal fan. So it just seems appropriate for my life. I'm all in.
So are you willing to give us a demo of what it sounds like in the song? I don't need you to. If you want to, go for it. But no, that's okay. Now, I see where this is going. But how does this show up for you in your workflow?
Yeah, I think that I'm committed to my life and I'm committed to when I die one day and I'm laying in the casket or what I want people to be like, holy smokes, like what a ride. Like this guy lived. And I think the way to do that is that the only way is all the way. Live hard, love hard, take care of yourself that you can show up. And I build that in every day to my daily schedule in life. My life is every day full of things that I truly love, enjoy, that energize me and make me feel alive so that I can wiggle my toes in the sand and just be grateful for another day. And I think the only way is all the way to do that, or you're not living.
So good. And, I dove into some research around values because that's one of my things here. Mm-hmm. And it ranges on what people identify as values. I've seen anywhere from there's 12 universal values to there's up to 100. And I like one that says there's 61 types of values. And the one that you're really speaking towards with me is experience. And it's funny because the one this morning was experience, but it's also not funny because 70% of the world values experience and they value what you get to see and do. And the second most one is relationships. And the third one is love, right? And so in hearing you talk, you've already mentioned family. You've already mentioned the connection with people. You've already mentioned the experience to it. So it's very clear that these are values that are important to you, that show up for you every single day, and to live by them through this quote. It's something really meaningful. And I want to know, I guess, before I move on, am I hitting the mark on this?
Yeah, well, 100%. I mean, those three, I mean, I know that you just brought them up, but I can't think of other ones that are much more important to that, though I'm sure there's other values that are super important. But when you have people in your life that you can lean on, and, we're social creatures, right? That's a survival mechanism in our brain. When we feel love and we give love, we feel like we have purpose and hope. And then to share those experiences, not only by ourselves, but with others. I mean, I don't know, much better way to spend my life. So I'm fully agreeing with what you just said there.
There we go. Now, for context, some of the other ones that are actually at the top as well include things like financial stability.
Sure.
They include transparency and honesty, integrity, right? So they can all, at the end of the day, I think if you look at a bunch of them, people will actually just make their own definitions for certain words, and people might say, hey, honesty is the same as integrity is the same as transparency, and they all just chunk them together as one thing. But, the standouts of experience, relationships, and love, family, huge ones. Now, Phil, have you heard of an elevator pitch before?
Yeah, I have.
All right. So in about 10 to 20 seconds,
Ooh.
sticking with this theme of your quote of the only way is all the way, I want you to pitch to the audience why this is something they should adapt and try to continue with.
Okay. Is the clock going?
The clock starts when you start.
All right. Sounds good. Friends, the only way is all the way. And we can do that by pouring into ourselves first. Build in the stuff that you love every day so that you can show up to life energized. When you're energized enough, you can give even more love and your gifts to the world, and you create a positive upward spiral where you love life and make positive impact. Go to bed feeling good about yourself, and it's a beautiful life.
So well done. Great job there, Phil. Hopefully the audience listening is giving you the round of applause as well. We're fist bumping in the air. I love it. Now, with this, it sounds great to go take charge and experience things, but along the way, we will face adversity. And that actually brings us to our next elemental segment, the air element on Headwinds and Tailwinds. Through storms and surges, discover the lessons from Headwinds and Tailwinds, where we focus on the challenges that test us and the forces that help us move forward. And you betcha, it's a new element, which means there's a new game. And this game is not rapid fire, but it is called Make It Worse. And so I'm going to give you a bad situation here, Phil, and your job is to take it to the next level of worse.
Make it even worse.
Make it even worse with just one sentence. Now, just remember what our audience is, and so you can think about how you want to tailor it for that. Anyone can listen to this show, but I will give you some prompts here, and I want to see how you can make it worse.
Okay, it's a unique game, and I'm up for it. I'm excited
It's
about it.
all about adversity. So here, the first one is you show up to an important meeting, and you realize you've been on mute the entire time.
Turn off your camera. Make it even worse.
Oh boy. I was going to say something along the lines of, and you're wearing your pajamas still, but all of it works. All of it works. Okay. You're introducing two people and you completely forgot one of their names.
Oh, so you take your best guess and get the name wrong.
That's also good. I would have said, so you introduced one, but it was actually the other person's name. All of that is terrible. Okay. One last one here. You're in an elevator with your boss and you accidentally say, I love you instead of have a good day.
Then you go in for the big hug.
Bring it in, big guy, right? Okay, so you know what? It's actually funny how often kids will say that, and then they'll look at you in horror, and they're like, oh my God, I just said that to my teacher. Or how many times you get called dad, and they don't mean to, and the elementary kid just looks at you, and they're like, oh, that just happened. And like behind that. Doors, they're going, shit. Who are you going to see? All right. Well, you know what? That didn't go downhill. It was actually quite good. We created some messy situations for people. But now we need to talk about how to face our own adversities. And so, Phil, can you share a time, and let's not go with the Food Channel time, but let's share a time when you faced significant adversity. You know what? You could share that one if you want to, because it's an experience. But what was happening in that moment? And did it feel like a storm instantly or a slow building pressure?
Yeah, I would say, and this is probably a common answer, Tyler, for a lot of people, but during 2020 COVID, when we were online school and we did not force our students to keep their screens on. And I'm an extreme extrovert. And the reason I love teaching is connecting with humans. So I felt very alone. And after the first few days of virtual school and the lack of response, the lack of accountability, I immediately felt like I was no longer valuable to the world in any way. And while I was taking breaks and they were working on stuff, I was on the other screen looking at LinkedIn like maybe this is it. If this is my next 10 years of teaching, like if we're not getting out of this, then this isn't the place. I need to make more impact somewhere else. So I remember really feeling that way, like, is this going to be like this for a long, long time? I knew it wasn't forever, but I knew it was going to be for a while. And so, yeah, that was a big challenge for me that luckily I was able to show up every day and put on a good face and pour into my students as best I could. But it definitely made me wobble in my passion towards education.
And you said something so important there, which was, I need to make an impact. And when adversity smacks you in the face and you look around for who's going to help pick you up, sometimes people are there, but sometimes it's no one. And you have to pick yourself up. You have to make the choice. And so take advantage of when adversity hits you to say, I have an opportunity to be in control. I have an opportunity to make a decision. I have an opportunity to take charge. And that's exactly what you did, right? You might have gone and perused the LinkedIn, accepted all of the requests that came in that you maybe shouldn't have, that we unpacked earlier. But at the end of the day, you didn't just sit there and wait for somebody to pick you up. You picked yourself up. And that's the important part of your story there, which I really appreciate. Now, Phil, I know COVID is what we're referencing, and it had a natural turning point in when, things started to get lifted on their own. But was there a turning point for you where your momentum shifted and there was started to become some clarity, some support, or a new strategy?
Yeah, it was really unique. I think because of it, it empowered me to really dig into positive psychology. I started thinking, why am I able to show up resilient and positive, even though I'm not enjoying my career right now and other people are just crumbling? So I started digging into positive psych and realizing that I had just some natural tendencies in my life that positive psychology supports for people who can flourish and be resilient. And it really created a new calling and an ache in my heart to help others, help them with using positive psychology to allow them to flourish more. So without this adversity, I don't think it would have allowed me to pivot into this place where I wanted to give more. So eventually, as these things lifted, you're right, things went back to, I don't know if you guys in Canada use this. Did you use the new norm? Was that a new topic for you?
Yeah.
The new normal?
Yeah.
We used it a lot. But as we started feeling normal with whatever it was, I still dug into my teaching a lot, but I had this really big passion of helping others. So that's what kind of led me to actually giving even more. So I'm actually really grateful for the experience, and it created something new out of something that was unfortunate at the time. But because of that, it really energized me to be a better teacher and start giving positive psychology in my class as well. And that's why I like to inject that in my teaching style to empower my students. So from something bad, I felt like something good happened from it, for sure. Sorry if I didn't answer that question.
No, and that's
accurately.
A great mindset, because when adversity smack you, right, the mindset you had was, okay, this is an opportunity to learn and grow. And that's exactly what you did. You seized the moment, because adversity is actually a calling for you. It's a signal that, hey, something needs to be a little bit different. And, we talked about the new norm here, and it's actually a conversation I had in one of my very early on episodes. It was with Jethro Jones, or his thing online is the transformative principle. And he argues that there's no such thing as learning loss from COVID. Rather, we were maybe moving at a pace that was too fast for what we could sustain. Right. And so you're not, like, a learning loss is, you get a kid in grade 4 that comes in at a grade 4 level and they leave at a grade 3 level. That's a loss, right? They lost learning. It's not that they're losing. It's maybe they have to go to slower pace, and that grade 4 going out at a grade 5 level isn't happening anymore, but maybe it's, 75% of the way through. That's not a loss. That's just a change in the speed at which somebody's learning, which is exactly what we did before. Right. So it's not that it's a new norm. It's that we've had to slow down a little bit. Right. We've had to give people time to process what's going on, process the trauma, process the events. Right. Because COVID was hard. COVID was dramatic. COVID was very, very, very taxing on people, and a lot of hardships there. People need time to recover. And we did not give enough time before we pushed people back in schools and said, you're back at it full time, full expectations. And guess what? Your diplomas are back. Your PATs are back. Your SATs are back. Right. Everything comes back right away. That's a lot for somebody to handle. And so, Phil, I want to actually ask here, Everyone needs an anchor to stay grounded during that adversity. What was your anchor?
Yeah, I think the science of positive psychology was a huge anchor. And then I also think my responsibilities of my family, my good friends, and like the only way is all the way. Like, I'm not enjoying my job currently, but like if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it to the best of my ability because my students deserve it and need it. Even though I felt like they weren't exactly giving it back the way I was hoping, the reciprocity was a little lacking there, and I called them out on it for sure. But yeah, I do think that I leaned on the science and the research that if this is what helps people flourish, even in situations that are tough, I trust the science. I'm going to lean on it even harder. And it allowed me to continue to do a great job as an educator. And again, built something new in my life that inspired me even more. So win in the end, for sure.
And for people facing their own headwinds, what's one thing they can do to keep moving forward despite the storm?
Yeah, I think accepting reality is an important part of it, right? I think we live in this isn't the way it used to be, and that unfortunately doesn't change reality or the current present. So to accept where it is and then to ask ourselves, what is in my control to make the best possible outcome for this situation? And I think I really tried to approach it that way as well. Like, listen, I can complain all day about how much I miss the classroom with everyone in it and the jokes and human connection, but right now that's just not reality. So what can I do to show up as the best person of myself and to make the best positive outcome? And when I let go of control and only did what I could do, it made it a lot easier and a lot more manageable. And I felt like I still made a positive impact. In fact, a couple of years later, students who graduated would tell me, I really appreciate how much energy you gave every day in that virtual setting, even though I'm sure it was really hard or a struggle for you, but it meant a great deal to me because I fed off that energy. I'm like, well, there you go. I did the right thing then, even though it was a little bit miserable.
And with that, we talk about the adversity we're facing. And when that adversity comes, it usually leads to a change to overcome the adversity, which brings us to our water element. And to do that, we'll start our segment of Ripples of Change. Small shifts, big waves. This is Ripples of Change, where we dive into the power of embracing change and making waves that last. And yeah, Phil, that's right. We will play another game. Thank you so much for asking. And this game is called Here's the Trick. So I'm going to give you a situation that people always have advice for. And you have to drop one piece of advice that actually works. It might be something that's worked for you, something you've seen work for someone else. Okay. Whether it's serious, unexpected, totally unhinged, it's okay. No rush on this. We try to steer away from a generic answer, but if you're going to give the cliche one, just say this is cliche, but here's what I'll do. We want to get to the nitty gritty of what actually works. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So the first one is the secret. Oh, this is a good one because you're a father of kids and one's a teenager, one's becoming a teenager. The secret to managing time effectively is.
Oh, I love this question. So I have a strict schedule Monday through Friday that builds in all the things that I value. Family, creating, learning. So you need to start slowly creating a schedule that you are strict about. And even though life will change it, even though life will throw wrenches in it, the fact that you have majority of your life scheduled, you'll hit on so many things that are important to you. So by the time you go to bed at night, you feel like you accomplished a lot and you're energized for it and appreciative. If you go by the wayside and don't schedule your life, something else or someone else will. So important.
Yeah. Love it. Take charge, right? Okay. Yeah. The key to giving a great presentation is
storytelling. 100%. You have to have a human connection that draws them in. You can give them bullet points, but they won't remember the bullet points as much as they'll remember the story and how they connected to it. Stories last a long, long time.
And the perfect way to bake a Halloween cake.
Ha ha! Don't listen to me. That's the perfect way to bake a Halloween cake. The perfect way is to incorporate your favorite candy. It's your cake. So make sure it's your favorite candy in there. Get those layers going, baby. Tiramisu.
And if you don't get what we're talking about, man, you got to watch some cooking shows. Phil was an incredible member on a show, and I'll let you discover that on your own. Maybe we'll link it in the show notes. We'll see. We'll get the clip linked. I think it's out there somewhere.
You can link my failures for everyone to watch.
No. It's a learning opportunity. It's a chance. There was valuable feedback given.
Yes, I like
No,
that.
I'm just having fun with it. So, Phil, to talk more about change, though, on an in-depth level here, what's a recent change that you've braced or led?
Yeah, this is really big for me to talk about. But I'm actually 20 years of an educator, Tyler. But in a couple weeks, I'm putting in my letter of resignation. I've been called to, I don't know if you've heard, Tyler, but the United States is a little polarized right now with the world and
Just a
love.
bit.
Maybe Canada's heard of it. But anyways, we need a lot more love, and there's a lot of amazing educators that are really burning out and leaving the profession. And as much as I love my students, I feel extremely called to help those educators. So it's an unfortunate situation. And I asked myself, what can I do that's in my control? And I've decided, even though it was a hard decision, I'm going to leave the classroom in order to pour into educators and adult givers so they can make more impact on our youth. So I'm hoping to create bigger impact in the long run. But this is going to be a huge change for me after 20 years, man.
Now, first of all, congratulations for 20 years
Thank
of
you.
service and education. I think that that's outstanding. I was just at our teachers convention, and it was in Edmonton, Alberta. And one of the speakers, Monique Gray Smith, she's a well-known author in Canada, but she had a moment where she asked everybody in their first year in the room of 2,000 teachers to stand up, and there was a round of applause, and everybody in under 5 and everybody in under 10. She got all the way up to 45, and one gentleman stood up, and the ovation that he received was enormous. And I think anybody past, any year, I guess, I don't even want to put a number on it. Anybody that's tried education is somebody incredible, somebody willing to stick something out. Now, Phil, is this a transition to consulting, keynote speaking?
This is a transition straight up, keynote speaking and workshopping for sure. I love
Good for
pouring
you.
into adult givers and help them take back their life, their control. So when you ask that question about managing your life, that's actually one of my favorite passions and things to talk about, to help adults take back their personal life so they can show up and give more at their professional lives. That's it.
There we go. Are you an adult struggling to manage your time? Are you an adult struggling to get your poop in a group? There was another word we were going to use. Boy, do we have somebody for you. Phil is starting some workshops here on how to manage our time better. And Phil, for anybody wanting to take those workshops, how should they get a hold of you?
I love it. If you just search my obnoxiously long last name, Phil Januszewski, on Google, you'll find me. But yep, I love giving keynotes and workshops on how to take control of our life so that we can show up to life more inspired and less tired, brother. I think the world needs it so much. And the more of us out there helping, the more impact we can have, because our youth need us showing up. And there's so many great adults that are givers that are just barely hanging on or cynical or burning out. We got to turn the tide, and it's up to us to do it.
Yep. And the best part about this is you don't even have to search this name. You can look at it in the show notes of this episode, and you'll find all the links there that we need to get Phil going and to connect you with somebody that can help you level up. Now, this is relatively new and exciting and nerve-wracking, and implementing change comes down to two key moments. We're not quite at the last one, which is your final move, but what was the first step you took to start this change?
Yeah, about, I think mid 2023, I was digging deep into positive psychology. I took a positive education certification course. I just realized that I've lived a life that I've loved, and I've stayed energized and resilient. And I really want to help so many great people that are barely hanging on, and I'm worried are going to leave the field. So as hypocritical as it is to leave the field to do this, I really felt like the first step was to create a keynote and start just simply getting the information out there, and whoever would have me. And that's what I've been doing for the last year and a half, 2 years now. And it's been growing, and I've been thriving, and it's getting to that critical mass where it's like, I think it's time to go all in. So I'm very grateful for the supportive network. I also created an online educator membership because I felt like a lot of teachers in the teacher building, it's hard to stay positive, right? If you go to the teacher's lounge and eat lunch, a lot of times it's a lot of negative talk, and that's natural. Our brains are negative biased, right? We naturally are drawn to that. But I wanted to create a space where educators who wanted to pour into their students, but wanted to love their education jobs and also their personal lives, could come together. So we meet 2 Wednesdays a month virtually and pour into each other. And then me as like the head coach guy, I always have one positive psychology topic that we dig into. But 40 minutes just to lift us up twice a month sometimes is all we need, a positive family. So I started that as well because I wanted to start making an impact and difference immediately. And I knew that the keynote stuff and that would take time before I could eventually get my name out there in that. But it's been crazy, man. The first couple of steps have turned into some pretty big strides now. And now I'm ready to go all in, dude, and just try to change the world.
That's great, Phil. And I'm so happy for you. And I can't wait to follow the journey and, connect even in a year or two from now and say, hey, man, how's it going? Where are we at? To hear the incredible, you're going to probably be the guy that's like, I'm too busy for this now. I gotta go.
Don't say that.
No, I'm just kidding.
Guy.
I'm just kidding. Maybe at that point, I'll be on a show that we can make fun of and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Now, Phil, people often worry that change won't last. And I know my mindset, at least for you in this situation, if I was you, I would have the thought of, man, how do I make this last? How do I make it sustainable? Right?
Yeah.
How do I build it into culture? So what is one thing that you suggest people do when they're going through change or implementing change to make it become a part of culture?
I love that. I think that when you're making change, first of all, it has to be, if it's a big change, it has to be something that lights you up. Because I think when and I hate to use the word authentic because I know how people cringe now at the word, but when you authentically are doing something you love and you believe in it, and it's to make the world a better place, I think it's hard for people to deny it, and it's hard for it not to spread. So that's what I'm going all in with. And I think that if people are looking for a change, make sure you're picking something that truly aligns with what you believe in. And when you're giving in some way, bringing value in some way, make sure people realize and understand just how much you love it and how much it lights you up, because that is infectious and contagious. And that's how it eventually becomes a norm in our culture.
Change is inevitable. Change is the only constant. Change is only bad because you choose to view it with a bad lens. You need to look at change as an opportunity. You need to look at the change with a fresh mindset to really make it something that becomes powerful for you, an opportunity for you, a place to grow for you. Change always brings about the best of people when you invite it to. And it'll also bring out the worst of people when you let it as well. So it's all about how you respond to change and how you go about embracing it. Now, Phil, this is breaking news for us, you sharing that you're leaving the profession and pursuing this journey, which is a big decision. It's a risk. And it brings us to the fire element, which is one that I love to talk about. And we're going to get into spark or burn.
All right.
Ignite your ideas, face the flames. This is Spark or Burn, where we talk about bold decisions, big risks, and the fires that either spark success or burns lessons into our memory. And we're going to play our last game of the show. This one is called Final Answer, Phil. And so I'm going to give you a high stakes decision. And you have to lock in your answer immediately. No explanations, just like our first game. No takebacks.
Okay.
Just commit and own it. Are you ready?
Yes. What do I say? Like I'm in or out kind of thing? Well,
You'll see where it goes. You'll see
all
where
right,
it goes.
I'm ready.
Would you rather never use a calendar again or never use a to-do list?
Never use a to-do list.
Oh, okay. You can only take morning meetings or evening meetings for the rest of your career. What do you choose?
Morning meetings.
Okay. One must go forever. Weekends or vacations?
Weekends.
Okay. Man, that's a tough one. I want to jump in and have a conversation, but we can't because there's no explanations. Would you rather have endless creativity but no organization, or endless organization but no creativity?
Oh gosh, that's a horrible option for both. Creativity.
There we go. You'd rather keep creativity?
Yeah, I'll figure out the organization.
All right. And we'll give you one more here.
Okay.
Would you rather have a reputation for being brilliant but difficult to work with, or easy to work with but not taken seriously?
Easy to work with.
There we go. Right on. All right. And those were some bold choices. I know that you've got your own bold choices, and no explanations, no regrets. You're locked in. Those are final answers, and we have to live with them and embrace them. And just like water, we're going to move on to fire now. Before we start second guessing these answers, because I know I'm already second guessing some of the ones that went through my head. So, Phil, can you tell us about a time when you made a bold leadership decision or took a major risk, and what was the spark behind it?
Oh yeah, I think comes to mind. This is the first podcast, I guess, that I'm publicly saying this, but yeah, I mean, I'm leaving an incredible 20-year career after this year, to pursue bigger change, positive change in the world. So this is a huge, bold move for me by far. I always saw myself as an educator for my entire career, being that guy who retires and then does something else afterwards. But just the way the world is and me being a father to my children, I want to walk the walk and tell them that when we know we can do something to make the world better, that's a calling that we should follow. So there we go, all in, and this is the bold move I'm going for.
And we've talked about, adversity, change, even values. And from the start, that first game where we played around with, preference or value, we really unpacked experience. We unpacked family, right? We unpacked relationships. And so this decision, I can see the polarity on it and why it's so difficult to make. Because on one side of the spectrum, you're doing things for your family. You're doing things for the experience of something new. You're doing things to build relationships on a global scale. But on the other side of things, you also have the experience of your classroom. You have the relationships with the kids and the teachers that you've built. Right. So there's that duality struggle. And how are you navigating that?
Yeah, I think because my heart and passion is drawn so much to helping the world, I felt like the classroom fulfilled me enough for years. And now that the climate of our country and world right now has I felt like it's sad to say it this way, but I don't think it's enough for me anymore. I don't think I'm doing enough. Even though I love my 125 students I see every day, I feel like I have the resources and ability to make an even greater positive change, and I can't deny it any longer. So I'm also a numbers guy. It was like 20 years. That sounds like a really pretty number to be proud of, to hang my hat on. And it just so happened that I was called to do it right around now with the state of the world. So yeah, I'm all in. I can't sit by and wait anymore. I need to be part of the change.
Now, I do have to say, I am a little disappointed in you, Phil, for saying numbers guy and 20. I thought for sure you would have picked something like 18 and rounded out the periodic table perfectly. Or maybe you would have ended at iron so that, it was everything that could be fused in a star until it exploded and became something bigger. There are so many opportunities. But, at 20, you're also maybe a bit of a math guy. And this is the physics side of you coming in. A nice even number. It's good to work with. You get to tell people 20. And you don't have to be a nerd and go down that explanation like me. I know for me, I would totally pick a number like that.
Trying to think, what is 20? Is 20 calcium?
20 is calcium, yeah.
Yeah, I guess you could argue 20 is calcium, which is in your bones. And because I have a spine, I'm going to take the bold step. Maybe we could make that connection, but that's a huge stretch.
Yeah,
brother.
but you did it. We made the connection after, so it wasn't done with the intent of it, right? So, no, I'm just,
I know.
And that's what I tell all of the first year teachers that decide to not be a first year teacher is, you just hydrogen, you needed, it wasn't a part of your universe. You had to go and build something else. So take that and go do what you need to do with it to make yourself successful. Right. And everybody's got a reason. All right. Phil, I do not have a segment or a game for this last section. This is listener questions. I should make one. And I tell people that, I'm dropping the ball on it. I'm going to continue to drop the ball for a little bit. Maybe I just leave it. So if you're listening to this episode and you go, you know what? Yeah, you don't need a segment. Let me know. Tyler at elementaleducator.com. Slide into Instagram at elemental_educator. And let me know, hey, do we need a jingle here? And if we do, I think Phil will help me make a jingle.
I like that. Do some metal voice, listener questions.
Yeah. Yeah. You asked, we're answering. It's time for listener questions. All right. I like to go really in depth here. So I usually pick one or two, Phil. I'm just going to pull up my screen and pull up the questions that I logged. I put them on my social media. Just a feeler out there saying, hey, I've got an interview. What do we got for questions? And let me just grab it really quick here.
Anticipation's getting me excited here.
All right. Here's a good one. I am struggling to feel heard in my organization. I play a semi-important role, but I feel like no one's listening. What should I do?
Wow, that's a really great question. I think
that's deep.
Yeah, I think that first of all, we have to know without others' approval, we have to prove to ourselves, is the work that we are doing worthy and valuable and making an impact? Because once we do that, then we can start asking ourselves, is this response to how the company, I think, views me, is this my ego getting in the way? Which, Tyler, first of all, disclaimer, I have a huge ego, so I'm not one to judge this person asking that question, right? I'm working on that all the time. But is this my ego getting in the way of thinking how people should respond to me? And therefore, are they not valuing me? Or is this a personal thing of, am I not proud of the work I'm doing? And this is a reflection. Like maybe I feel like I'm looking in a mirror and I'm afraid to admit it. So I think self-reflection is a good place to start from that. After that, I do believe I've read a lot of personal development books. I love the business side of things, but I do believe, and Tyler, you know the deal. No one knows the good things you're doing unless you tell them half the time, right? A lot of people don't like that about social media. They feel it's icky, but I feel like it's important. Tyler is a guy who's out there changing education, wants to be a catalyst for change. He's doing a podcast. He's pushing it out to the world. How would people know unless Tyler told them? People are so busy, they don't share as often as you'd like to think. So I think being aware of the reality of how humans are, we're so busy focusing on ourselves that we often don't give the time that we should to appreciate people or honor them. So I think it's up to us. Let the team know that you're doing some good stuff and that you're proud of it. And from that, I think you might feel a little bit better than just hoping someone sees and mentions it. I don't know, Tyler, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm thinking about it too. And I like what you said about ego. Not that you have one, but that everybody has one.
I've got one. We all
and
do.
Of course we do, right? And I would say the best way to determine if this is your ego or if you're actually onto something is to connect with somebody you trust, connect with somebody close, and bounce off of them what you feel you should be getting valued for and recognized for, and get an opinion, get an honest opinion. Now, this can't be your partner or a loved one or somebody really close to you, because they're going to tell you, of course you should, right? Well, that's not true. Sometimes partners give it to you straight. So tiptoe that water, you know your judgment best. You need to find either a colleague, somebody in a different business, somebody that you're somewhat close with, and ask that. But I would actually say the best way to get this answer and to get it fast is to connect with the people in your organization that oversee this and say, hey, I want to meet for 5 minutes. Can we meet for 5 minutes? If they say no, you kind of got your answer, right? If they say yes, they're valuing your time. They're going to sit with you. And in that question, you only have to ask one really important question. What do you see me bringing to this organization? What do you value from me in this organization? What am I bringing to the table that makes it unique and powerful, innovative, creative for this organization? And they're either going to give you a runaround answer that you're going to see right through right away, and you're going to get an answer that way, or you're going to get something genuine, right? And if you get something genuine, that's the perfect, either way, the perfect segue to this is, okay, this is what I'm doing, and I just wanted you to know, right? And I can tell you right now, not a single other person in your organization has requested that meeting. You've requested that meeting, because everybody else is just going to go home. And again, when change is in front of you or adversity is in front of you, a lot of people wait for somebody else to take charge. You've taken charge of the adversity in that situation. So I guess my advice would be seek to understand, right? Seek to know why. Why do you feel that way? What's going on? Outsource it to your boss, outsource it to colleagues, friends, family, see what people have to say. I think together we probably have the good answer somewhere together.
I agree with that. I like that. Well said.
Yeah. All right. Let me see. I think I've got one more for us today. Normally I get around 5 questions, but I think this time I actually only got 2. So, well, I got 5, but I answered a couple earlier this morning. Oh, hey, this one's actually quite relevant to maybe your story.
Okay.
I'm looking to start something on my own, similar to what you do with Elemental Educator. What advice do you have for somebody that's looking to branch out and do their own thing?
Well, the number one thing is just start, right? So many people try to over prepare and get a Zoom account if you want to start a podcast and start interviewing your friends and get used to it and just put it out there. And as you do it, you'll get better. You know, we tell our students all the time that when you start with something, you're not going to be great at it. But we forget that as adults. We expect ourselves to be great at something before we can put it out there. That's impossible. So get started. Talk to someone who's done it, figure it out, and take the first baby steps towards that. Most people, the hardest part of doing anything is simply just trying.
I totally agree with you. And my head goes one of 2 ways. This person is genuine, or this person knows I just talked about how bad my first few episodes were and they want me to do it again. So Elemental Educator Podcast and platform is not even a year old. We're approaching that mark in April when we released our episode 1, and we're getting close to that full year cycle. Elemental Educator has been in the works for 4 to 5 years. Right? It started as a book that was being written that is going to be coming out hopefully in the next year here, 6 months-ish. It turned into the foundation of what I'm trying to do my doctorate on. It's turned into this conversation podcast platform. And when I started the podcast, it's exactly like you said. I just started. I started on Zoom. I did a couple in person. I met with people. I had no idea what I was doing. It took me like 5 to 6 hours to push my first thing out because it had to be done in a way that I could learn to do it in the future. And it's come a long way since. Even if you go listen to my opening episode 1, which is a monologue that nobody should listen to. And I know in saying that, people are going to go listen to it. Or you go and you listen to like episode 4 or episode 2 through 15, they have changed a lot even to this episode, right? Even episode 40 has changed a lot. And it's because we're just starting, right? We in life are building the plane as it's flying, right? And hoping that we can land it safely at some destination that we tip our hat off and go, that was a good ride, right? And it brings us back to what you started with, right? Which is the foundation of give it everything. Right? Give it your best. Never do anything half-assed. Go 100% all the time. And you have to start to be able to do that. So that's the advice I would give you is just put your idea out there. Just start. Don't go and invest everything you have into it first. Start small. See if there's interest. Scale it up if you can. And we'll go from there. Well, Phil, it's been my pleasure to connect with you. It'll be posted in our show notes, but how can our audience connect with you more?
Yeah, thank you for asking, Tyler. It's been a pleasure to talk to you and connect with you, brother. If you just search my name, Google search Phil Januszewski, you'll find me. My website's philjanuszewski.com, and all of my online social media handles are at Phil Januszewski. So as long as people can spell my last name, which is hard, Tyler, then they can find me.
And yeah, we'll have the spelling and the transcription of this, show notes, everything. Just find it in the links here, Alchemists, and we'll go from there. And as we get to that point and we wrap up this episode, I do want to take a moment and share my appreciation for your listenership. Again, I say this almost every episode. You're the reason that we have a show. You're the reason that I'm here. It's because you have your inspiration to keep this going. And I hope that our journey today has sparked some points of interest for you as a listener. To dive deeper, make sure you subscribe to our monthly newsletter where I put out scholarly insights, put in an in-depth recap of each episode. I give you actionable strategies to take. It's a free subscription. Just go check it out. You can DM me on Instagram for a link as well. It is in the LinkedIn and Linktree sections as well. And Phil, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to connect, collaborate, and empower us all through your lived experiences.
It's an honor, Tyler.
You've been listening to the Elemental Educator. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Make sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, find us on Instagram, Facebook, and X at Elemental Educator.